Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggty on behalf of StarCastTV. Bottom left-hand corner we have Queen starting as the green Zerg. Upper left-hand corner we have Snow starting as the teal Protoss. This is going to be on Ringing Bloom, which I haven't seen in a bit, so I figured I would go ahead and show you guys what it looks like. It's been a while. I feel like Ringing Bloom was one of those maps that really, for whatever reason, it's the one in my mind that has the Zerg eggs in front that really stand out. A little bit wider natural expansion with the two overmines hanging out here. So a little bit harder to defend natural expansion, but you have an inside protected natural in the rear of your main, and these Bengalos just kind of trapped in corners for who knows what reason. Minerals in the middle of the map that rarely become a factor, and chokes, smaller chokes at each of the cardinal directions from there. So oddly ends up being one of those maps where there's opportunity for bust early, but at the same time, as soon as you have your front door established, you basically have that free base in your natural expansion. Out of all the casts I've been able to do recently, I think this is the one I'm most excited about between these two players, because the Zerg versus Protoss metagame has been in such a huge degree of flux, and as far as the people that are dictating where that metagame is going, it's players like these. It's these two guys. Speaking of which, we are seeing a gateway opener here in the upper left-hand corner from Snow. So to kind of review all of the comings and goings, you had 9734, which seemed to be a big thing, or I guess potentially 973. So either you had to deal with the Hydralisk bust, or you had to deal with a potential rollback to an economic game if you were overcommitting to defenses. Protoss started to get a handle on that, but it really forced them towards more two-base heavy play, a little bit of a blockade. Looks like we did see a quick expansion here in the back corner there for Queen. No pool as of yet. Snow mixing it up against that drone on the front corner. But from there, what we've seen quite often, at least what I've seen quite often at high level of play, is 3-hatch Mutalisk as a turnaround. Oh, that drone's in trouble. Hold that thought. Drone needing to flee, going back to the mineral line, but Snow on the hunt might be able to get a kill here. Does get the kill and preserves the probe. So gonna set Queen back economically. Every drone early game counts. So Snow viciously getting that first kill. It looks like a Zealot making its way across. Should be Zerglings in time to go ahead and deal with that. Overlord making its way into the base. Going to go ahead and confirm additional information here. Natural expansion now being built. But nice early damage, and the third getting disrupted. It looked like Queen wanting to migrate out and go ahead and grab the third base at the near corner. Now it's going to try to make movements towards the 6 o'clock, but the probe staying on top of it to continue that interruption. I think the drone wanting to try to harass it, get that health down so that Zerglings can then do their work. The Zealot, in the meantime, returning to home base to go ahead and provide some support for that very wide choke now that the Zerglings are out in the field. The drone making its way back. Looks like that hatchery was able to establish. Probe somewhat low on health, but what a hero with the kills and everything else. So getting back to that thought, saw 3-hatch spire into 4th hatch, oftentimes with Scourge to deny information, or at least to herd that initial Corsair probe getting taken out. So now Snow in the dark, but I feel he's got to be pretty confident about the economic damage he was able to wreak early here. Critically though, no gas here from Queen. And this is what I'm talking about. No gas as of yet. And saving a lot of minerals to go ahead and grab a 4th. And maybe this is just to create a superior SimCity more rapidly, but this is going to be a lot of larva to start off. And I'm honestly, we'll see how Queen is able to defend. I'm wondering if this is an adjustment, so this is what I wanted to get into. So it feels like in response to that 4-hatch style of play and a lot of the economic play that Zerg have been able to pull off, we've seen +1 weapon, Dragoon, High Templar sort of timing attacks. Protoss have been a little bit more diligent about not just throwing away Zealots at Zerg SimCities. And a 5th hatchery before gas, are you kidding me? So 5 hatcheries down from Queen, and this is what I'm talking about, adjustment. I don't know if this is going to be standard or not, or if this is just a very greedy opening move for what will eventually fold back to 5-hatch Hydralisk, but Haven't seen this as of yet. It might be, who knows, might end up becoming the standard down the line. But 5 hatcheries before gas. And now I'm a bit concerned about Queen's ability to deal with initial Corsair pressure. Citadel of Adun placed as well. Zealots testing the front lines, and they're able to confirm that Zerglings do not have speed. And that should be a helpful indicator that not going to see mass Zerglings on the front, but Queen dropping a Hydraliston and a creep colony towards the front to be part of that initial Sim City wall. The Zealots again confirming that Zergling speed not online. This Overlord giving its life for the cause to get the scouting information. That was kind of the inevitability there. But right now, this Hydraliston, interesting. So +1 weapons for the Hydralists before Hydralists are even out in the field. And a Spore Colony to attempt to defend. No Overlords at the natural or the main. One Overlord drifting slightly out of position might be a soft target here. But Queen already at 33 drones. And thus far, not a lot of economic damage. I mean, granted, there was the delayed third, but I don't know if that's sufficient to make up for the instant 5 hatcheries. Let's see if this Overlord gets taken out. Still pressuring, yeah, able at least to put Queen in the red here. But right now, the worker count just about even, and Queen is sitting at nearly 40 drones. So Snow needs to get some sort of economic damage done here. And honestly, I think Queen being so aggressive here early, as those Corsairs and Tech were being added, I think he might get away with it. Corsairs still cycling their way around. Now, I assume Hydralisks being produced. It looks like that Sunken Colony just now being built as a Dark Templar making its way across the field. And yeah, Hydralisks finally being produced. Lair going to come online. But Queen's got a very, very strong economy moving into the mid-game. And that Dark Templar finding nothing and is lucky to have its life here. Phenumanized Carapace immediately being upgraded. Snow marching out with those Zealots, the Zerglings cycling around. We'll see if the pair of them, but honestly, this is a pretty solid SimCity, and there's enough Hydralisks behind this to negate any sort of damage here. Yeah, so the Zealots peeking in, seeing that Sunken Colony and not falling for, so might have fell for moving in, but a huge group of Hydralisks in the wake. Dark Templar are going to sneak back and go ahead and clear out some Zerglings. Corsairs again checking the front. And the other trick is with that quick +1 weapons, it's going to make those that +2 Hydralisk power spike makes High Templar lives hell in the mid-game. First High Templar out in the field. We do have a shuttle out. Potentially, we'll see if a Dark Templar gets scooped up. Or maybe even some Zealots make their way across, but I think this is the right play. Right now, no Spire as of yet. Most of the Hydralisks are hanging out at that third. The 6 o'clock base trying to come online. The Corsairs checking that out. But with that distraction, yeah, the Dark Templar are going to make its way in. No Overlord on position. Looks like one is being produced, but that's going to interrupt at least some gas supply here. And some solid drone kills, which Snow absolutely needed. Dark Templar getting wiped out there. And as I was seeing that, the 6 o'clock base, I almost want to rewind there. Zealots able to storm in at the 6 o'clock and force that base down. 6 o'clock being retaken by Queen. So nice two-pronged attack by Snow. Sizable supply lead. Moving in with another shuttle. Some more Zealots and a High Templar. Hydralisks are out in the field, but again, this drop looks like not going to be as successful. High Templar doesn't make it out of there. And the Zealot's going to be nice drone coming off the line to blockade that. So instantly engaging and wiping that out. Corsairs making the way back across. And Snow now staging up to go ahead and grab that third. +2 weapons. Starting to make its way. The Hydralisk taking some free damage. One of them losing their lives for it against these Zealots midfield. But here's the thing, despite a lot of the really solid economic damage done by Snow up to this stage, I don't know that it's been sufficient to slow Queen down. Queen's still at nearly 50 workers. 6 base is going to be up in not too long, grabbing a 4th gas. And before there's really a strong enough army out here from Snow, granted there's a supply lead right this second, but once that +2 weapon Hydralisk power spike hits, and Queen is free to just pump out units, it is going to be very difficult to maintain map control from there. Zealot's eating some free fire. Shuttle scooping up some additional units, maybe to get another drop. Hydralisks are kind of patrolling in between here, and you can see there's kind of 2 pockets creating a pseudo soft contain from Queen. He doesn't need to do any sort of hard contain here. He just needs to make sure that he can roll the troop count up. Snow moving out. Shuttle finding a window somehow. Sunken colony in place, but going to disrupt mining here at the natural expansion. That shuttle taking some Hydralisk damage as it's coming back across. The troops moving back across mid-map. The Zealots look like they are going to be cleaned up by these Hydralisks. No drones lost, but at least a decent amount of mining time expended there. Shuttle scooping back up. Hydralisks being interrupted, so they're not going to be able to intercept that shuttle. Let's see here. Okay, there are more Hydralisks in position to go ahead and engage this. So Snow trying to force it in once again. Now lost that shuttle and the Zealot. And Queen now with 4 gas, dropping that Queen's Nest. +2 weapons just about to come online. +2 weapons is out for Snow, but it's going to be very difficult to defend these High Templar. So Snow, I think, rather than risking engagements out on the map, going to go ahead and try to grab that 4th. Play the game from there. Does have a solid gateway count behind this. No double forge as of yet. Calderon Amulet upgrade going. Armor making its way. But in the midst of this, it looks like Queen going to keep up that economic aggression, going to check that bottom right-hand corner. Let's see if a drone makes its way that direction shortly to go ahead and grab that territory. Queen ahead in the worker count. Has lurkers now across that 3rd. Dark Templar sweeping down, maybe to try to find some sort of soft target. The Corsair confirming that there's not really a lot of pockets to be able to sweep in there. Zealots making their way across. Looks like they are going to be able to heads up engage these Hydralisks and Zerglings to the north, but Queen dangerously close to matching that supply. Those Hydralisks, keep in mind, do a lot of damage very rapidly. Snow looks like he's going to be able to pin these troops in. Dark Templar blocking that ramp. And Dragoons now pecking away at the troops otherwise. Drones being caught. And now might force another cancellation, that bottom right-hand corner. Snow finding the perfect movement and timing. Sweeping up the ramp. There are a lot of Hydralisks here. Those observers need to be protected because there's lurkers morphing here in the background. Both observers down, and that might be Queen's saving grace. Reinforcements looking for cutoff route. Psystorm still hasn't been expended, so that might be able to clean up these lurkers, but the lurkers have now been planted in that rear corner, so that hatchery might be defended here. Sweeping mounts of green coming from the rear to try to defend this as well. Snow needs to get a move on and focus fire that hatchery down. Using the Psystorms to engage the troops from the rear. Currently holding the ramp, swarming troops of reinforcements coming in. Great Psystorm to obliterate some Hydralisk lines. But walking over the lurker field is able to drop some Dragoons and now start to assail that hatchery. However, Hydralisks making their way in, clearing out what's left, and there's still no detection. And those lurkers seem to be firing that entire time. So Queen actually building drones now from this base on site, unconcerned about this Dragoon threat. So Queen is now sitting on and establishing, keep an eye on these Dragoons. It looks like they're still able to poke out to the corner. There still should be enough. Oh, getting some drone kills out of it. Supply count's now even. Good job on Snow to be a little bit annoying with this. Looks like he's going to move out on the map with some more troops again. Some Zerglings looking to see if they can catch some High Templar stragglers there. Instead, they're being caught midfield. And it looks like Queen maybe wants to go for another bust in that bottom right, because that's another 2 bases he does not want in Queen's hands. Queen just about even on troop count, but is he able to find an equivalent engagement point? Instead of going to that bottom right, now going to try to engage the 6 o'clock location. Lurker's not in place. The second creep colony being dropped. Lurkers coming in from the rear, eating a lot of Sidestorm as they're bunched up. It looks like they are going to get obliterated. However, the Observer's going to be taken out as well. So the latent Lurkers look like they are going to be undetected moving forward, and a lot of that Sidestorm is gone. Still more Lurkers incoming. Snow going to be able to hold, but yeah, losing a lot of Lurkers to the High Templar, but it doesn't look like it's going to be sufficient for Snow to break through. And now Queen with the supply lead. And troops starting to swarm all over the map. So it almost a desperate defense here, dropping Lightning on retreat. Just trying to get some form of trade. Zealots engaging that Lurker to the rear, at least able to get something done there. Snow still trying to drop Storm on those Lurkers to keep things open midfield, but doesn't have enough troops really to keep up the pressure. Hatchery has been built in the natural of that bottom right-hand corner base. A Nidus Canal also coming online, which means it's going to be all the more defensible. In response, Snow trying to grab an expansion in the upper right. Zerglings hunting down that Archon. Looks like they should be pushed back otherwise. Defiler Mound is up, and this is where it starts to get really scary. With Plague, Swarm, Adrenal upgraded Zerglings. 3 Evolution Chambers to push the upgrades as well, and Defilers are out on the map. Another drop finding a way in somehow. Zealots working on that spawning pool in the bottom left. Zerglings pushing in to try to take cannons out, and maybe that base in the upper right. It looks like the Zealots going to be cleaned up by an overwhelming amount of Zerglings. Not really get some drones taken care of. At least going to be able to feast on some Zerglings, if nothing else. And Snow regathering attacks, looking for another shot at that bottom right-hand corner. Regrouping, it's mostly Zealots. Looks like a Dragoon, a Dark Templar in the mix this time. But troops flooding through in a lot. Ooh, a Defiler dropping a big Plague. And with that Plague landing, it looks like Snow just going to retreat for the time being. Another grouping of Hydralisks might be able to crash down and pin this army in. Queen behind in supply right this second, but a lot of these troops have been softened up. Plague can be a big equalizer in this matchup, where Zerg can have smaller troop counts, but because all of that health has been stripped off the Protoss units, they're all the softer. So now Snow needs to start thinking about not just grabbing additional bases to stay economically relevant versus Queen, but maybe adding some Reavers on to be able to hold the various bases he has out in the field. Double Forge running in the background, looking for another attack opportunity. Does need to take out something of Queen's. Running across a Lurker line, does have that Observer forward. Getting some good kills, dropping Sidestorm over the Lurkers, able to wipe them out, but not really able to breach. And this is the better part of it, because Queen hasn't been able to macro up and match supply. I think he's been too busy tacking on a whole bunch of upgrades, everything else. I haven't seen an Ultralisk Cavern as of yet. Some macro hatcheries dropping for Queen, but honestly, the Ultralisk Cavern probably not that far away, given Queen's economic position. Snow now trying to grab that natural expansion in the upper right-hand corner. Solid supply lead, +2 weapons, +1 armor. Trying to, yeah, that +3 weapons, not that far away. Zerglings with +2 Carapace, +1. So looking strong. Level 3 weapons for those Hydralisks as well. Big Protoss Death Ball moving mid-map. but they need to be wary and do some decent plague dodging, as defilers are not that far away. They got plenty of energy. The Archons will help mitigate that Zergling and plague threat a bit, but it's going to be really difficult to get the troop groupings. You can see the bunch trying to stay back behind the Psystorm to thin out the defiler threat. But still, Queen able to find some solid plagues. Yes, hitting 2 of the Archons, but getting a large group of the Zealots and that lone Dragoon. So it's almost like, ooh, good Psystorm on a bunch of units right there. You can see the difficulty on Snow's part to be able to control the units and get them in a favorable position to have a better engagement with those defilers out on the field. Has to do some plague dodging, trying to micro those Archons forward to wipe the defilers out. Able to do that, but the Lurkers moving in. Great Psystorm as they're bunching up. But now Zerglings swarming across. Zealots joining the fray as the Zerglings starting to stream in. But the thing is while all of this time is being expended in the Archon Zealot Dragoon dance, Queen is continuing to macro forward, is now at max supply, has grabbed an additional base outside that bottom right-hand corner. Lurkers pressing forward. Now Queen sending streams of units to the upper right. There is a Reaver on site. Should help with that defense. Queen doesn't look like what he sees. Maybe going to wait for reinforcements, sending a few units to go ahead and cut off Snow's reinforcements from the west. Few units peeking in. Snow, in a desperate bid, needs to keep the bases up in the upper right. Wants to be able to crash down and pin a lot of these units forward, waiting on the observers to go ahead and wipe out the lurker lines in between. But Queen pulling the trigger now, diving forward, while the troops are distracted and engaged in the middle of the map. Gets Plague on the Reavers, Dark Swarms there as well. That it will negate the cannons, and the Hydralisks able to bust in, take that out. Looks like Snow, rather than trying to save that upper right-hand base, is just going to call that a loss, and is instead going to attempt to counterattack in that bottom right-hand corner. 3 o'clock base is being taken as Zealot, being lazy and not taking that base out. Queen pressing some Zerglings down, now drawing troops back from the upper right, also bringing some reinforcements from his main to engage the Archons. And there is a flurry of fire everywhere. Completely mixed battle. Archons trying to box out reinforcements from the right, allow the Zealots and the Dark Templar to get into the main. The High Templar able to get there, wants to try to get a Psystorm on the drone line. Doesn't have quite the energy to do it, and unfortunately it looks like Queen going to be able to clean up everything that was thrown at him by Snow, and with that, Snow recognizing he wasn't going to be able to, it looks like some troops still there in the upper right, wasn't going to be able to hold anything economically, and Queen takes the game in a wild one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.